Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in today. As you likely know, we have been hosting weekly health updates. Today we are focusing on another important area in our community, the Metro's economy. I want to begin by reiterating that the City of Fargo will continue operating its essential services during the pandemic for residents in our business community. I oftentimes get questions, is my garbage going to be picked up? And yes, it is. We're working tirelessly to ensure the essentials, including garbage, recycling, public safety, drinking water, wastewater services, and mass transit are still running. I recognize the challenges created by this pandemic have left many of our residents laid off, working reduced hours, or being uncertain of their futures. As elected leaders, it is our duty to offer reassurance in this difficult time. We have heard you and we care about you, and this is looking at the economics in the community and trying to see what can we do about it. This COVID-19 FM area economic roundtable is crucial. We have gathered a total of 14 governmental, FM business, community leaders, and economic professionals for this roundtable. In respect to the CDC guidelines pertaining to social distancing, we have elected to limit the number of leaders inside the commission chambers to 10 and have 4 additional leaders participating remotely. They will provide tremendously valuable information for employees as well as point of resources for business. Their guidance will help for future recovery and success of this greater metro economy. I am confident as we go forward, we'll work our way through this. The speed at which we do this will be dependent on how well we all work together to make this work. I would now like to introduce Cass County Commissioner Chair Chad Peterson for some insight on the work the county is doing in light of this economic challenge. Chad?
Thank you, Mayor, and again, thank you to everyone that's watching. Thank you to everyone participating today. First and foremost, I think this is a broader topic, right? We're going to be talking about our business leaders, business owners, and how we're going to support them. I'm going to touch on some of the people that keep our businesses going, the staff. Really, that's what the county's function is. Our main mission is to support the people that support us. In times like this, we know there's going to be voids. We know we've had a number of layoffs, and with that, the support network that we have in the county that most people, frankly, don't know about because they've been gainfully employed, never had to worry about visiting the courthouse. So they've now, like I said yesterday, if you've never visited the courthouse, you've never visited the courthouse. So I'm going to touch on some of those programs. I also participated in a nationwide phone call earlier this morning, and one of the programs I'm going to talk about, LIHEAP, which is energy assistance, excuse me, will be receiving an additional $900 million in federal funding through the year 2020. SNAP, TANF, other programs I'm going to address real quickly, will also be receiving additional funds in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So know that your federal government's there to support you as well. Most of those dollars will be funneled through the state. The state will then pass them out accordingly, and we administer them locally in Cass County. So a couple of things we do in Cass is TANF, the temporary assistance for needy families. It's available to needy children, underprivileged homes. SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. That's basically food stamps. Child care assistance, know that there's low-income assistance for child care. So if you're having struggles right now, having a spot for your kids to go, there's assistance that can be had. As I touched earlier, LIHEAP is Low-Income Heat and Energy Assistance Program. That helps keep your lights on, keep your heat going, make sure that you can have a comfortable, adequate home for you and your family. And also, if we get into the summer months, which I don't believe we're going to get to, that also works for cooling assistance if you have a medical need. So again, this is all funneled through our courthouse. With that, I can't express to you the sympathy, empathy that I have for the people that are struggling right now, and those of you that have probably never struggled before. I know it's a difficult time, but the Cass County Courthouse is open. Please check our website. Right now we are still open. We are taking meetings by appointment. Ideally, you can do it on telephone or via email. We're there to support as needed. Other thing I want to touch on is we also know that, again, it's not just the big employers that are going to struggle, not the medium, not the small. I'm a small business owner and have been. My first business I had was in middle school. It's next to impossible to keep a small business going when it's just you, and that you know the people that work for you are family members. These are people, you know, their husbands and wives and kids. You've watched some of their kids grow up, and the personal connection with your staff becomes even more complex when you feel like it's your responsibility to take care of them. So I'm going to look you folks in the eye and say, business owners, if you're out there, please talk to your staff, guide them to the courthouse, tell them the conversations we're having right now, share with them the availability of the support networks in place. We're there to help, we can help, and let us know what we can do. Again, check our website, easy guidance there, phone call, email, set an appointment if you need to. There'll be people in Cass County that are there to help. This will follow with Clay County as well. Most programs are symmetrical in any county you're in, frankly, that's watching right now. There is a support network for you, and I can keep talking for hours, but for that, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to
Yes,
stop.
thank you, Chad. Yes, very much. Yeah, remember your people that are working for you. West Fargo Mayor Bernie Dardis, and Bernie, you've had big and small businesses, so you know what it is to have pain at time.
Thank you, Mayor Mahoney. Thank everyone for attending. It's a great honor to be here with these business leaders, both public and private, this morning. The small business focus that we need to deal with is to make sure that we as a city remain as flexible and understanding as we possibly can. At the same time, we have to protect the safety of our employees. One of the major things I think that we should deal with as a group, and as you as employers that are listening to this, is that you become and we become the source of information. There is nothing that will bode better than with the employees, that if you help them navigate unemployment, social services needs, if you help them navigate what small loans might, Small Business Administration loans, or the federal stimulus package that's coming forward, if you can, or one of your designated employees can help those folks that have been laid off or that reduced hours, nothing will bode better for you in re-recruiting those people when we're through this crisis and when you're going to come back. Our city employees continue to work with our Downtown Business Association, with our businesses in West Fargo, trying to guide them the best that we can. There's many people at this table right now today that have been in contact, direct contact, and accessible to the governor and the lieutenant governor and the Bank of North Dakota and his staff on offering ideas on how they can assist with bridge loans, short interest loans, grants, and those types of things. Know that your community leaders continue to work diligently on that, and we're doing all that we can to facilitate that the other state elected officials, the Bank of North Dakota, understands your plight and how we can get through this. But again, be a resource to those employees that have been laid off or that you still have working for us. That will serve them extremely well. Yesterday, we had a crisis in West Fargo. Fire, police department involved. They've always been my heroes for what they do. Ladies and gentlemen, and what I've experienced in the last 5 weeks, we have new frontline heroes, and that's the healthcare workers. It is amazing to see what those people are doing and what they are dealing with in our hospitals and our clinics. So understand that. Pay attention to the CDC. Pay attention to your elected leaders as we move forward. That if we don't do social distancing and things, there will be other ramifications, other shutdowns that will take place. So as business leaders here at this table and on the telephone, and to those business leaders that we're speaking to, be the leaders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Dardis. And from West Fargo, we have Tim Solberg, who's part of the planning department. He's going to talk about the different things that West Fargo has in mind in this economic crisis.
Thank you for having me today, Mayor. Thanks, Mayor Dardis, for your leadership in West Fargo. Staff jotted down some notes with Tina Fisk, our city administrator. Just kind of our response. I believe now we should be leaning on each of our respective agencies' talents to address this current oncoming economic crisis that will no doubt increase. Believe the partners at the Greater Fargo Moorhead EDC, the Chamber, the CVB, the home builders, and others are best equipped to lead the way in metro-wide initiatives that they know best. We as a city have a duty to support the economy by providing efficient and effective services and leading in the support of our residents, businesses, industry, and partners. We're also uniquely situated to lead in using the tools that we have been granted to us by the state through tax incentive programs that have been proven to work. Leveraging these tools at this time, while also examining ways to utilize economic development sales tax dollars to support our existing businesses, should be our role while we continue to develop new ways with our state leadership and legislators to work swiftly to achieve a rapid response to get people the help they will need when the time comes that it's again safe to socially be together. In the meantime, city staff will be doing all we can to keep our local economy moving by safely providing the essential services needed at this time, working with our partners to keep the economy moving. As Mayor Dardis talked about, our role right now is to stay safe, keep supporting the businesses that are keeping our community going, thinking about just the restaurants, the grocery stores, everything that we use on a daily basis. If we as a city can support them to keep them rolling, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it safely. Any news that you might want to get out of City of West Fargo, westfargond.gov is the place to go. We're continually looking into how we can better provide services in this sort of unique time. Right now, I think my job working a lot with the Home Builders Association to make sure that building can continue. But if anybody has any ideas, any ways that we can better do things, whether it's the EDC or the chamber, we're all open to those discussions. So thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Downtown Community Partnership, Melissa Brandt, there's things in the downtown where you have small businesses. What do you got? What's going on?
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor. We're in this together, and thank you, everybody, for being around the table today. More than ever, the Downtown Community Partnership's mission and our purpose is vital for the heart of our community, downtown Fargo. The team and I are feeling the pain of our small businesses. The DCP has redeployed our efforts away from events and now 100% member-focused to help everyone get through this crisis. We cannot do this alone and focus on mobilizing our community. Together, we need to support our small local businesses. They are the thread of our community and make us unique. Businesses are challenged in shifting their focus the way they can survive, how to transition business operations to the online world, how to use online tools for marketing communications with their customers, business continuity planning, offering takeout, make and take kits, or virtual classes. I've been inspired by watching these resourceful ways in the completely different world we live in. Our community is passionate about what they do and should make us all proud to be a part of it. So what's happening? What reports are coming in from these businesses? If a business is still operating, sales are down about 60 to 70%. Some have found creative ways to sell their product online or offering pickup or takeout. Others have made the tough decision to lay off all employees or have completely closed. Regarding the Business Improvement District, they are downtown. They continue to be dedicated to their mission, clean, safe, and maintain. The bid is still out there, placing an emphasis on wiping down all downtown amenities, benches, directory signs, trash and recycle bins, as well as cigarette receptacles to ensure these surfaces are safe and as germ-free as possible. During these trying times, your bid crew will be there, out diligently patrolling the downtown neighborhood, looking for ways to assist the public where possible. For example, on Monday, they actually helped with the Gladys Ray team to set up temporary homeless to help with that essential need in our community. So thank you to them. So how can the community help these small local businesses? There are two ways that we look at immediately. Right now, there's a Downtown Fargo gift card that is already paid for, that is sitting in your wallet or in your office or in a drawer. There's $57,000 of unused gift cards out there. Over 50 businesses downtown accept them. Use them, call that business, redeem them today. And if you don't have a downtown gift card, call your favorite store downtown and buy a gift card from them, or just support them in any way you can to order online, or even just say, hey, how are you doing? We support you. So that human touch goes a long way, and we need you. We need you now. The Downtown Community Partnership is here, and if you need additional resources, check out downtownfargo.com.
Thank you very much. Mayor Judd, you've been a little busy the last day. A lot of things have changed in your world. What can you tell us what's going on in Minnesota?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you everyone for being here this afternoon for this important event. As the city of Moorhead continues to address and respond to the COVID-19 pandemic, focusing on essential public services, we're all very mindful that this is a public health emergency. But we are here today because it is also an incredible economic emergency that affects our businesses and employees in profound ways. We are concerned and empathetic to the profound difficulties facing our businesses in the for-profit and nonprofit sectors, as well as the employees. And I just want, and I think we all can say together, we all stand beside you as we work through this event. Our partners at Downtown Moorhead, Inc., and at the Moorhead Business Association, and our metro partners with the Chamber and various economic development and trade associations are closely following the state and federal government responses. And obviously, as you can all imagine, the information is changing rapidly. I'm going to cede a lot of my time to Derrick LaPoint from Downtown Moorhead, Inc. He's going to give a more thorough update as far as what's going on the Minnesota side, because he's going to be the point person regarding that information and how it's disseminated on the Minnesota side. But two things I want to address real briefly. One is the specific question regarding the stay-at-home order regarding coming out of the governor's office, as we've got a lot of questions. I've got texts and phone calls about so thank you, the citizens, for being engaged. I've been pretty busy this morning trying to respond. But for people who cross the Red River to go to work each day, and just so we're clear, there is no prohibition on interstate travel. If you work in North Dakota and you live in Moorhead, you can continue to go to your job in North Dakota. Pretty much what the order is stating is that teleworking is strongly encouraged, but there are many jobs where this is not possible, and there are many industries that are exempted from the stay-at-home order, as included on the critical business list, which is being compiled by Minnesota Deed. Derrick can probably speak on that if needed, but there will not be checkpoints or traffic stops to enforce the order. There's no checkpoint Charlie, for those familiar with the Cold War reference. We know that people, and we expect that people will use common sense to protect their own health individually and also of the health of their families and the general public. The only thing else I will add to that, too, is, and this is a shout out from Mayor Chad Olson in Dilworth, that for those businesses that are operating in Dilworth, that the city is currently working to access the city's revolving loan fund in order to potentially help small businesses that are located in Dilworth. Please don't hesitate to contact the city administrator, city manager, Peyton Mastera, or Mayor Chad. Preferably try to email if at all possible, because obviously there's going to be a backup if you try to get to us through the cell phone. Other than that, I just want to send a shout out to each and every one of you here today over the phone. It's great to see the leadership that is stepping up in times of adversity to support the economic resources in our region and our businesses and our employees. So thank you all very much for being here.
Thank you, Mayor Judd. Times of crisis, we look to our bankers. What will they do? How they can help us out? And lately, we've had a federal package go out there that's a little complex, that's difficult to interpret. But we're going to have a little help today, because Judd Graham from Bremer Bank is going to explain a little bit about what happens when you talk to your local banker, and a little bit about the federal programs and some help for the nonprofits. And Judd is on phone, so you won't be able to see him, but are you ready?
I am. Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Well, thank you again. The biggest thing that I'll cover a little bit of what I know about the CARES Act that's currently going through Congress. But the first thing I want to emphasize for any business owner out there, any business person out there, is to make sure you reach out to your banker. Bankers are getting a lot of the information today that, as Mayor Judd said, the changes are coming fast and furious, and so. But there are disaster programs out there. The SBA has a disaster program that's been out there for a while, and that's a direct lending program. There are other state programs on both North Dakota and Minnesota side, and so there's just a lot of information that your bankers should be understanding and getting a lot of information on. And so I encourage every business person to first and foremost reach out to your banker to learn about what disaster programs may be available for your business and for your situation. Just briefly, the CARES Act that's currently going through Congress, first thing I need to say is, as a little bit of a disclaimer, is that it isn't approved yet. The Senate has approved it. It has to go to the House, and it still has to be signed by the President, and then SBA needs to interpret the rules. But my understanding is that they were given 15 days to get this program rolled out once it's approved, and they're working on it already, so they probably will beat that 15-day deadline. But generally, this program is geared towards small businesses, and the definition of that generally is any employer with less than 500 employees, and it does include, which I know we have a lot of in the Fargo-Moorhead area, is sole proprietors, independent contractors, and essentially just self-employed individuals. So it's not just businesses that have multiple employees. It is small business right down to the sole proprietors and independent contractors. And so that to me is great, and I think we'll really have an opportunity to help a lot of people that are probably hurting right now, because if they haven't completely lost their revenue, they've lost a significant portion. The proceeds, or the eligible purposes for this program, really are to keep employees tied to their employers. So it really is all about the portion of the CARES Act that addresses this is called the Paycheck Protection Program, and that's exactly what it's intended to do, is to keep employees employed by their employer until we get through this period of time. And the other part of this that it will be really important for everybody really is that this is a forgivable loan program. If the proceeds are used for eligible purposes, which obviously will have to be documented, but if they're used for eligible purposes, this is a forgivable loan. The feds will ultimately pay this off. And so it's a wonderful program. Again, the disclaimer is it isn't approved yet, so there's a lot of details that are still coming through, but it appears to be, from what I've read and the people I've heard talk about it that know more about it than me, it appears to be a really good program that everybody will want to try and tap into. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mayor.
Very good. I think you had one also program with Bremer Bank for nonprofits. Could you mention that there?
Yeah, it's actually through the Otto Bremer Trust, which is our parent company. They have put together a $50 million pool for grants for nonprofits. And so if you're a nonprofit out there and you're interested in the program, I would encourage you to go to the Otto Bremer Trust website, and there will be a lot more information there. But it's a grant-making process similar to what they've always done, but they do have a $50 million fund for that purpose.
Very good. Thank you very much. And now we're going to go to Derrick LaPoint, Downtown Moorhead Incorporated. He's going to talk about Minnesota, Moorhead. What's going on?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and for everyone being here. I think it's important what Judd has just spoken about. Start with your local lender. That's such an important piece of it. They do have a lot of the resources that are available, have access to the funds, and quite frankly, we have great, strong partners in our financial resources in our local community, so let's leverage them. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Minnesota side of things, because we do have some programs that are available specifically to our Moorhead businesses. As Mayor Judd recently spoke about with the executive order, that changes things a little bit as far as how we operate, but we're really trying to get the right information out to folks. One thing to note is we've clarified with the state you do not need a letter or a note to cross the river either. So that is one question we've been getting quite a bit from our employers on either side of the river. You do not need a note from your employer to cross the river. We're grateful to the governor that we have a robust list of critical industries identified at the state of Minnesota. If you are a Moorhead business and you're still wondering if you're eligible or on that list, it's important to really go to the source of the information, which is mn.gov/deed, which is DEED, /critical. And that's the site where you're really gonna get that information to see where you're fitting on that scale. Some other things that are out there too, we have the Department of Employment and Economic Development has a small business emergency loan that's been active now for about 5 days. It's a bridge gap loan to the SBA process. I know the SBA process has some concerns of how quickly they can get the funds out to folks. Minnesota is trying to get money quickly to our small businesses. For more information, check out Deed's website. Again, low interest or interest-free loans and partially forgiven as well in certain circumstances. Minnesota is also taking stances to prepare for our healthcare systems. We had a deadline yesterday, but I know of a lot of our local healthcare providers took advantage of a $200 million grant and fund that was created by the Minnesota Department of Health. We're hoping that it will ensure that our healthcare system will be ready for whatever comes our way. We also have a robust unemployment insurance program, as does the state of North Dakota. One thing that I want to make clear to many as our population serves a lot of students is that program in Minnesota is open to students as well. So make sure you're checking into that. We're also looking out for the personal residents of Moorhead as well. The state of Minnesota has aligned with the federal government on the IRS and state filings for our deadlines for tax filings, which is now July 15th. Also for our individual businesses too, and this is one that really hits home to our local retailers and a lot of the businesses, is there's a 30-day extension to our sales tax payments to the state of Minnesota. So make sure you're looking into that as well. We've been working very closely, obviously, with our state and local officials. I know Mayor Judd mentioned yesterday that MPS and the city of Moorhead announced that we'll be waiving late fees to MPS utility bills. We're also looking at other delays and extensions to certain deadlines at the state level. I know there's a lot of renewals for licenses at the state right now. We'll continue to provide information as we have it. I know this has been said earlier too, but applicants across the board for all these different programs are really encouraged to apply online. There's significant wait times, as you can imagine, via phone, so make sure you're getting, and we do have all the state services and local services up and running online. As Melissa mentioned, to our downtown businesses as well as businesses across our region, many are still open. As I mentioned, even with the stay-at-home order from the governor, there are many, many businesses still open in Moorhead. Please shop local, buy the gift cards, do what we can support these businesses in these difficult times. Know that all of us here, the partners on the phone, are working tirelessly to support you, connect you to the information that we have when it becomes available. The other big thing is I know there's lots of different sources of information out there. It's important to go to the source. Let's make sure we're working together. I know the Chamber, the EDC, and others, the city's web pages. Make sure you're going to the source. Make sure you check. We have people there and ready to answer your questions. So there's a lot of challenges, but we're here to get through it as well.
I'm really pleased to hear that, because now I don't have to get a letter from Mayor Judd to come to Minnesota. Uh-oh.
Never mind, I'll pass.
Our next speaker is Joe Rasso. He is the Economic Development, and Joe has worked on this meeting today real hard with all the team members. So Joe, I want to thank you for that. He is distancing himself because he's sick right now, so that's why he's not in the room. We thank you for that as well. Joe?
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. I want to share 4 things with our businesses and citizens listening today. The first is for a number of weeks now, we've been working collaboratively with a focus on business needs during, obviously, these unprecedented times. We've recently stood up what we call our COVID-19 Business Task Force, made up of leadership from more than 40 organizations across both states, in fact, some nationally as well. We have nearly 24 federal, state, and regional public sector organizations involved, more than 24 private nonprofit entities with a focus on serving our business community, and a number of private companies, especially in the utilities and telecom industries, who are serving businesses every day. These organizations are really working daily, focusing their work in 5 what we'll call subgroup areas. The first is communications. Second is our financial support, which you've heard some about. Third is workforce development. Fourth is our direct engagement across our more than 13,000 businesses in our region. And lastly is our ability to look at surveying and data analysis. And we're working regularly. We have a meeting every Friday morning with these more than 40 groups, and we'll continue to do so through this crisis. Second, in addition to the outreach that we just recently heard about, the Business Task Force is going to be delivering a survey starting tomorrow morning to thousands of organizations throughout our metropolitan area. And when you receive this survey, we ask that you take the 5 to 7 minutes to fill it out, as it'll help us in focusing our outreach, our work, and our policies to addressing your needs. We expect to continue surveying the region in the coming weeks and months if needed, but please don't let that stop anyone from contacting us, as Melissa, Derrick, and others have mentioned. Third, as you've already heard, there are many actions that have and are taking place to support our companies and citizens. And a few more I want to mention are, first, the Bank of North Dakota has just announced in the last couple of days that they're going to defer student loan payments for up to 6 months for the more than 46,000 individuals taking part in their loan program. Now, borrowers must request the deferment, and they can go to bnd.nd.gov/COVID to complete a simple one-page form to do so. And I know a couple thousand people have already done that across the state of North Dakota. Second, the EDC, in conjunction with the North Dakota Department of Commerce's Development Fund, has suspended principal interest and the accrual of interest on the Development Fund loans. And we've also done so with our Regional Growth Initiative Fund that the EDC manages. We're doing that suspension for 30 days, and we'll continue to monitor this for possible extensions as time goes on. Third, the EDC has partnered with local lenders and the Bank of North Dakota on a program that's been around for a while called the PACE and FlexPACE programs. We currently manage around 75 loans with companies here in our regional economy, and we're making contact with and asking those companies in our region with those loans to contact their lender and talk about their current financial situation, some of the things that Judd was mentioning before, just to see how they can be helpful. And lastly, I want to mention that, we know that we're all in this together. We know that we're continuing to do our daily work in addition to the work that's being done to address this crisis. Just this week, our organization has been contacted by 3 local businesses that want to start talking about potential expansion plans in the region. So they're out looking at the future beyond this crisis, and I think that's great news. We know job one is to work with all our partners, which we're doing to get past the challenges we have now, but we also need to be ready to continue moving our economy forward once this starts to settle out, and we're doing just that. So I'll turn it back to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Joe. I hope you get well as well soon. People around the area are asking, how do the big companies run? What's going on? If you have a business that's more than 400 or 500 people when we're doing social distancing, how do we do that? Sandy Piat from Microsoft in Fargo is going to explain this to us. How do they do it in big companies?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mayor. So at Microsoft, we have and are continuing to learn from the rest of our sites across the globe in regards to actions that we should take. And we're focusing on 3 core areas right now. The first area is ensuring the safety of our employees. The third is around protecting the health and well-being of the community. And then the third is how do we provide technology and resources for the community and the businesses out there. So some of the actions that we've taken to ensure the safety of our employees and protect the health and well-being of the community include, starting back in January, we started minimizing travel to essential travel only. We, like many other organizations, have canceled, postponed, or moved events and trainings to virtual type of events if we haven't canceled and postponed them. Back on March 16th, we actually transitioned the Fargo site to a recommended work from home with the exception of essential roles. And I know, like for any organization, moving to remote is a big lift. It was a huge lift for our campus of 1,600 team members in Fargo. And I just want to express my sincere appreciation to our team leaders, team members, and our campus service staff that is continuing to do great work to help us keep the business running remotely as well. We're doing extra deep cleaning across campus because we do have team members in essential roles that are still there. And we enacted and are evolving our business continuity plans where necessary to keep Microsoft operations up and running. We're heavily leveraging our Microsoft Teams collaboration solution to stay connected and collaborate while working remotely. Finally, one of the other things that we've done is we've also evaluated and updated our benefits and offerings for employees, like continuing to pay our hourly service employees regardless of hours worked, allowing team members to take equipment like monitors and keyboards home so that they can work at home successfully, and then providing counseling services and other resources of information for our team members. And while we may not be on campus, we are still up and running. We're interviewing, we're hiring, we're onboarding team members and across Microsoft, and we're working diligently to service our customers in the communities as well. We know it's going to take all of us working together to combat COVID-19, and it means leveraging our strengths and being innovative for both Microsoft and all businesses out there. And so the following are just a few examples of what we've done to be innovative and can make sure that we're continuing to serve our customers. We released a new Power Platform template to help customers share information and collaborate during a time of crisis. We launched a healthcare bot service that quickly assesses symptoms and risk factors of people concerned, and it is being used by the CDC today and being used by other health organizations as well. We are offering a free 6-month trial of our Microsoft Teams for businesses and are sharing resources with customers on how to work remotely. We are providing schools with solutions and best practices for online learning. And then last week, we also released additional solutions for qualified nonprofits, which will be free for up to 6 months. We're offering support to the local community through the campaign that's being spearheaded by Emerging Prairie and the city to educate others about staying at home to keep us all safe. And if you have any questions for us regarding these services or other solutions that Microsoft has, you can reach out to your local Microsoft technology partner, or you can contact us locally at gofargo@microsoft.com, and we'll connect you to the right resources. We're continuing to learn and adapt throughout this time, as every business is. And in closing, I just want to share that on behalf of Microsoft, please know our thoughts are with the people affected, the businesses and the employees that are being impacted by the closures, the schools who are having to transform how they're educating our students, the faith institutes who are continuing to serve virtually or volunteer, and also to the medical professionals that are working around the clock to help those most in need. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're using that Microsoft meeting, and that works very well if you just teach people how to turn mics on and off. Otherwise, it goes. The Chamber is always involved with the businesses throughout the community, and are there to help when things get tough and when things are going well. Jim Parsons from the Chamber is going to talk to us a little bit. What is the Chamber doing in this business crisis?
Thank you, Mayor. The Chamber has over 2,000 members, and we've been closely monitoring what's been going on. We've been reaching out to our members, currently over several hundred we've talked to. We've found that there's a financial impact that these members are going through, and concerned about that and their employees. But what we have found out is that these businesses are becoming adaptive and creative and finding ways to stay afloat. To the extent that some of them are busy enough that they are actually in need of a lot of additional employees, for example, Hornbachers, Cashwise. With that, the one thing that we really want to stress to everybody is to buy local. That's what's going to help us. I know there's a lot of people that shop on Amazon and stuff, but I would stress people to buy local first, or look at that option first. With that, we are launching a couple radio ads that will help guide people or explain that. The other thing is, as we went into this crisis, there was overwhelming information everybody was getting, and I think everybody. So one of the things that we wanted to create in conjunction with the EDC was, or as the EDC has went through this, we have, the Chamber has created a continually updated COVID-19 resource webpage that can be found on our homepage, WWFMWF Chamber. Our team has developed it to be concise sharing of information, direct links to resources regarding SBA loans, federal legislation, Minnesota, North Dakota resources, unemployment, health, local updates. Because of this information changes daily, we are updating it daily, and We have a great communications team with Katie Mistel, Tyler Fishbach, and Amanda Huggett that are on top of this at all times. North Dakota and Minnesota have also created a one-stop shop, and those links can also be found on that particular website. I know the EDC and other organizations are undergoing similar efforts to share relevant information, but please let our organizations know your situations. If we haven't contacted you already, do not hesitate to call us and let us know what's going on. But though we are not ones that are directly making emerging policies or enacting policies, we are there to help guide you through that and find the resources you need. And we are more than willing to do that, so please contact us. That's all I have to share at this time.
Thanks, Jim. We really appreciate that. And now we're going to hear from somebody who's kind of almost unemployed because he's in the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Charlie can't even attract a crowd right now. Charlie Johnson, what do you got to tell us today?
Well, I am sitting by myself pretty much in my office, so thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. Actually, our staff working from home this week did a phone survey of our hotels. We got 48 responses out of 63 in just a day and a half, so that was great. Thanks to the hotels for responding. All but a few remain open, some with reduced rooms available. Based on what we saw in that survey, we estimate between 800 and 1,000 full or part-time employees at hotels have been laid off or furloughed. I'm estimating hotel occupancy March through May will be maybe 10 or 15% compared to the normal between 50 and 60%, and it's going to recover slowly. We hope it'll recover slowly after that. So it's hard times in the hospitality industry for sure. As everyone is, we are encouraging everyone who can to patronize local restaurants and other local businesses that are offering takeout and gift cards. In fact, to that end, we're running a Facebook promotion in case anybody wants to check it out, through which we are giving away gift cards to people who participate. We're giving away 6 $50 gift cards each weekday through April 3rd. We've already handed out 24. We'll total 60 by April 3rd, and we certainly will consider extending it at that time. I would also remind everyone that each of our wonderful attractions in this community are nonprofits, and they're struggling like every other business, maybe even more so in some cases. Virtually all are closed, and they have little or no income coming in. So, for example, Bonanzaville, Plains Art Museum, the Rourke, the Red River Zoo, the Fargo Air Museum, the Heritage Yemcump Center, Fargo Theater. I hope I didn't skip anybody. But I can tell you they need our help right now. So if you're in a position to do so, maybe think about a donation or even buying a membership if you haven't had one before. If you are a member of those organizations, renew early. They could use the cash right now. Several of them are doing online events, some of them aimed at kids who are at home. So check that out. And we're looking at options to try to help them, some ourselves, and we hope you will too. They're valuable parts of our community, and they need your support, as everyone does at this time, to survive. This is going to be a long slog in many industries, and we appreciate everything everyone does to help out, and we'll keep working on ways ourselves to do that. Mayor?
Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate that. What's going on in the Home Builders Association? Bryce Johnson's been working with construction, homeowners, builders. What's happening right now, Bryce?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to all the mayors for giving us the opportunity to comment in your leadership during this difficult time. I am Bryce Johnson. I'm the CEO for the Home Builders Association of Fargo Moorhead, which represents nearly 800 construction-related member companies. The local housing market impact, we have a regional footprint. Over 1 year of construction of 1,100 new single-family homes impacts over 3,200 jobs and generates over $220 million in income for the Fargo Moorhead metropolitan statistical area. This is just one sector of study. It doesn't include economic impacts of all types of construction services such as residential remodeling, multifamily new construction, commercial, etc. So it gives you an idea of the financial and the job impact in one sector. Interrupting industry activities, even a slowdown, let alone closure, compromises consumer confidence and can have a drastic financial ramification, thereby impacting the regional economy, which could cause massive job loss. The inability to acquire building permits will cause a slowdown. It's vitally important that construction services continue because of the critical services they provide, such as plumbing, electrical, project completion, et cetera. Due to the COVID-19, contractors have seen a slowdown inflicted by trade partners and homebuyer confidence. Just yesterday, as Derrick and Mayor Judd had already mentioned, Minnesota Governor Walz has issued an executive order that deems construction as critical service. Presently in North Dakota, contractors are operating under limitations via whatever jurisdiction they might be working in. Derrick also mentioned the deeds list, that if your company might not be on that critical needs list, you can go to the Minnesota deeds list to apply for an exemption. As a large employer, the construction industry is one of the largest employers in the state, let alone the region, also one of the largest economic drivers. Again, we're following each local jurisdiction's guidelines and state executive orders. We are advising industry-related businesses to adapt to the safety and health guidelines laid out in each of those jurisdictions, as well as CDC. The circumstances affect more than contractors as employers. The biggest loss falls upon the end user, the homeowner, the home buyer, and so on. The slowdown in job loss ultimately affects affordability when accessibility to housing was already being challenged before we entered this crisis. This additional instability catalyzes industry contraction as customers are pulling back. As far as jobs right now, the construction industry had been struggling due to workforce shortages long before COVID-19. The HBA of FM is still reaching out to its members. We do not have a solid data on job availability and loss yet. We have a firm idea of how the virus is impacting our members' operations and financial stability of their businesses. And again, we will be, Joe from the EDC had mentioned the survey that's going to be coming out. We are advising our members to watch for that as well, so that we can get solid, real data of what's going on. Our website, hbafm.com, is continuously being updated to inform the industry on policy adaptations and changes so contractors can move forward efficiently, confidently, and as safely as possible. And I echo Sandy's comments too, just about keeping all those impacted in our thoughts and just working through this challenging time. And we thank you again to all the leaders around the table and our city and county officials for their leadership and their efforts. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. And I just want you to know both our cities will work with you on permits and inspections as best we can to get out there and get that thing done. Well, the last gentleman speaking for us today is from Emerging Prairie, Greg Tavine, and he is also somebody that's used to attracting a crowd, Million Cups, TEDx. He really likes big crowds. So we kept him on telephone so we wouldn't see him jumping up and down. But Greg, what can you tell us today about young people and what's happening?
Thanks, Mayor, for the time and your leadership. Our team at Emerging Prairie has the vision of the relentless pursuit of improving the human condition. There's been four main areas that we've been thinking about. The first is yesterday, the state of North Dakota's Career and Technical Education Board of Directors authorized Emerging Prairie to launch the region's first software development school. So folks that are finding themselves out of work, looking at a career change and want to become part of the technology community can become part of a 20-week program. Well, they can go from barista, Uber driver, someone in transition to being part of the software community within 20 weeks. So that's the Emerging Digital Academy has launched. I'm really inspired by the social entrepreneurs in our New American community, the folks at the African Development Business Center, FASIA at IDC, B at Soma Employment Solutions. These folks are stepping up, translating these important community messages for their entrepreneurs and in their community into languages and dialogue, and really, really impressed with them. We're watching entrepreneurs collaborate and volunteer. Several are joining forces to do community projects like the Save Summer Now campaign, and others are just helping each other out. They're supporting the state's departments of commerce, the cities, to get the messaging out. And lastly, what warms my heart is innovation. We are watching entrepreneurs innovate and become partners. Just a couple quick stories is there's a local entrepreneur that has new power sources that the hotel industry is looking to make sure critical communities stay powered. Organizations like Proof are now producing hand sanitizer. I think for most of us that like craft beer, we're grateful for the city's decision to allow delivery from our breweries. Big bonus points for me on that. Watching new communication unfold. There's a 3D printing organization in our community working with a large healthcare provider to look at 3D printing masks in an efficient and timely way. Senior care innovations coming out to know if people are in the senior centers are walking so family members can know what their loved ones are up to, and education. We're watching more and more entrepreneurs adapt new technologies for innovation. What I'm reminded of is the optimism, the values that the people of this region lived by to bring us to where we are today, and the new folks that call this place home that are bringing what community means to them and applying it now. I think all entrepreneurs are aware that the gig economy is here, the importance of a robust healthcare system in a rural environment, and our ability to attract talent on the backside of this. Entrepreneurs have the daily life of ups and downs, and this is certainly a challenge. But I know a lot of them are looking forward to the future, solving new problems, to using their resources and their teams to make a difference in the world. And I think that's what makes this place special. And so on behalf of all the entrepreneurs, we're grateful for our partners that are paying their invoices quickly, that are sharing resources, and are doing everything they can to support a community that is truly special.
Thank you, Greg, very much. Very much appreciate the fact that we finally have a coding school. That's a big thing in our community, and that will help a lot of people advance and do different things than they've ever done before. Well, panel, it's almost 2 o'clock. We were going to keep this under an hour, which we have. Some of you have to go out for interviews. The rest of us get to sit here and watch what goes on. But thank you very much for all your insight on what's happening in our community. I know all of us as a team will be working out how to recover after this coronavirus if it passes and crests and goes down. Speaking of cresting, the river will probably crest next week, so I'm pretty excited about that. And we're going to have some transportation issues, but otherwise should be fine. So thank you very much for everybody. Well, Mayor Judd has something to do.
Yeah, I just want to give a brief update, and this is probably just hot off the presses, just so folks regionally know just how dramatic things are changing and things that are getting passed. The Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities just announced that the Minnesota State House has passed an additional $330 million of relief. The Senate's going to be voting on that in approximately 7 minutes with the hope that it'll go to Governor Walz to get signed. But this $330 million financial package will generally, again, focus on child care grants, military veterans, food shelf programs, housing supports, emergency services grant, and also a small business emergency loan program. So that's how rapidly things are changing. Hopefully that'll get signed and Mr. LaPoint can report on that when it becomes finalized.
Very good. Sounds like people are reacting to the issue and coming up with positive things. Well, thank you. Unless anybody else has any breaking news, Chad, you know, county, something happened or no? Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.